To then take it a step deeper, today we're going to talk about a most improbable occurrence. Again, this is from Robert Greene's new book, The Daily Laws, okay? Someone said, can I still join the Black Shirt Club? Oh, it's Shauna? Yeah, absolutely. You can go to asfx.biz/BSC, put in your name, fill out the application, and we'll set up a call with you. If you already did that, you should have gotten an email to set up your call. If you didn't get that email, let me know, and I can make sure I send that over to you. Okay, so from Robert Greene's book, the model for feeling the sublime comes in our meditation on mortality, but we can train our minds to experience it through other thoughts and actions. For instance, when we look up at the sky at night, we can let our minds try to fathom the infinity of space and the overwhelming smallness of our planet, lost in all the darkness. We can encounter the sublime by thinking about the origin of life on Earth. How many billions of years ago this occurred? Perhaps at some particular moment? And how unlikely it was, considering the thousands of factors that had to converge for the experiment of life to begin on this planet. And that's something that I think about all the time. I was just watching this Joe Rogan episode last night about with this guy Jimmy, who runs a YouTube channel called Bright Insight, and he was just in Egypt. And I always find myself thinking about, maybe it's because I smoke weed, maybe it's because I got too much free time, maybe it's both. But I always find myself wondering about like the origin of human history, the origin of where we come from, and why the planet is the way that it is. Like I was saying to somebody yesterday, I was like, if you went to any other planet and found even one animal that we have on Earth on another planet, you'd freak out. We would freak out, right? But look at how many of them we have here on Earth, and we can't seem to find any other ones yet, right? So it's just so interesting. I got a book behind me if you want a space recommendation. Neil deGrasse Tyson has a new book called Cosmic Queries. Really, really good overview of a lot of topics. But let's continue. He says, such vast amounts of time and the actual origin of life exceed our capacity to conceptualize them. And we are left with the sensation of the sublime. It's almost like an unknowing. Like it's like the awesomeness of it is unknowing, and that is the sublime. Now he says we can take this further. Several million years ago, the human experiment began as we branched off from our primate ancestors. But because of our weak physical nature and small numbers, we face the continual threat of extinction. If that more than likely event had happened, as it had occurred for so many species, the world would have taken a much different turn. In fact, the meeting of our own parents and our birth hung on a series of chance encounters that were equally unlikely. So the daily law from today, this causes us to view our present existence as an individual, something we take for granted, as a most improbable occurrence, considering all of the fortuitous elements that had to fall into place. And this is from The Laws of Human Nature, Meditate on Our Common Mortality, law number 18, the law of death denial. So not a direct application to our trading, but I think as traders, we have to constantly be pushing ourselves, pushing our mind, not just the understanding of why we think the way we think, but it's almost like a good exercise to let your mind wander into these places. And then what he's saying here is when you wander into that place and you encounter the sublime, when you try to wrap your head around how big the universe is or how long, hundreds of millions and billions of years is, right? That is the sublime. And then in that awareness of what it is, he's saying the improbable occurrence seems to happen sometimes. And because of those improbable occurrences, even though the probabilities are lower, they still lead to some crazy outcomes, like in his argument that humans are here on Earth. So just an interesting way to think about probabilities and how even sometimes the lower probability outcome happens. And I guess you can apply that into our trading by saying, if you have a trading system that puts probabilities in your favor, let's say you're going to win 7 or 8 out of 10 trades, you're still going to have those 2 losers, and you never know when they're going to come. That's that improbable occurrence. But it's important to be controlled in your position sizing so that if that improbable occurrence was to happen right